everyone. I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati. I'm with you here to discuss a very important concept in our day-to-day lives, especially when we are communicating with others. So, in the previous session, we've seen how these prepositions are very important tools of communications. So, that was part one last time when we discussed. And now this is going to be part two. So, the same concept, but we are going to look at different prepositions, like how other prepositions, how we can really, make use of them in our day-to-day conversations and also in academic writing, right? Prepositions are wheels of communication, part two. In the earlier presentation, I discussed how in, at, and also during other 3-4 prepositions, how you can bring them into context and make use of them very effectively. But in today's presentation, I am going to discuss for, since, and then and different prepositions and very important other prepositions for this session. So now, what have you understood when you are looking at prepositions? So you might have understood the concept behind that, the logic behind that. So for is used for a period of time or length of time. So you have to understand that it is used for a period or length of time. And especially if you are talking about some time vacation, like which extended up to many days, and it is in weeks or months. But when the time period is not specific, but over a period of time or particular length of time, you can use this preposition for. And since is used when you are referring to a point of time. Since is used when you are referring to a point of time. So now let me give you an example. For over a period of time, and since for when you are referring to a point of time. That means very specific, definite point, certain point of time. Now, Lizzie has been working here for 10 years. See, she has been working here for how many days? Like over a period of time, 10 years. Since, when you mention since, you have a specific time there in your mind. 1988. So when you mention since 1988, you are very specifically pointing out at the time. So that is the sense of it. When you are using time or when you are using this since for referring to a point of time, you are not going to use this preposition for. So only since is used for a point of time. But for, F-O-R, for a period of time or length of time. Next. Second example. It's been raining for weeks. How many weeks? We do not know. Over a period of time since the second end of June. So why since the second end of June? Because the point of time is given here. When? That is second end of June. Right? So since the end of June. So that is why this preposition since is used. Next. People have been waiting to see you since morning. So third example I have for you is people have been waiting to see you since morning. That means definite point of time. It's not afternoon, it's not evening, but since morning. That is when you are going to use these prepositions for and since. Next. For and since are used with present perfect, tense, at the same time present perfect progressive, past perfect and past perfect progressive forms. So you can use these two prepositions for and since when you are using present perfect and present perfect progressive and past perfect and also past perfect progressive forms. So you can use these two prepositions when you are using those particular tenses, right? So now present perfect, that is have been, has been. So this can be used for an action that began at a definite point of time, at a definite time, sometime in the olden day or in sometime in the past, and extends into the present time. That means it is even continuing now. So generally, present perfect can be used when you are referring to immediate point of time. Immediate action is done. For example, I've finished my lunch some time ago. That means not very old or not very long time ago, but very recently. So that is the thing. So he has lived in India. See, right? That means still something is still continuing. So something that has been started and still continuing. So, for example, I can say like we have started a program around 8 o'clock in the morning and still continuing. So, if that is a sense, then you can use this present perfect to have. That means it started in the past and still continuing in the present. Now, let us use this preposition for in the present perfect context. He has lived in India for 10 years. That means still he is continuing to live. It's not completed or his period of time is not over. Right? He started in the past and he has lived in India for 10 years. So he's still continuing the same. That means he's continuing to reside in the present times also. So that is a sense of it. Next, another example. I have been here for half an hour since 9 o'clock. I've been here for half an hour since 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So that means like you are giving a specific time and that is the reason you used what? Since. I've been here for half an hour. For how much time? Over a period of time. And when point of time is given, that is why you use since, preposition since. Now, my dear listeners, I want you to learn these two prepositions properly so that you don't get it wrong, right? You don't get it wrong. It's always wrong if you use this. Next, present perfect progressive is used for an action that began at a definite time in the past and is continuing and may extend into the future as well. That means it began at a definite time in the past and still continuing in the present and may extend up to some any time in future. So that's what, like he's been living in India for 10 years. He's been living in India for 10 years. That is the sense of it. Next. For is used with a simple past tense and how you can use, but not since. So what is the simple past tense? Like he ate. I did my work. I worked last night. So you are not using perfect here. Have worked, she's eaten, all that. So simple complete past, when you are using that, you can use this preposition for, but not since. So you can say, you worked here for 20 years. You can say, you worked here for 20 years. She doesn't work here now. She worked here for 20 years, but she doesn't work here now. That is a sense. That means you cannot say like she worked here for 20 years, but that means like something that existed in the past, but not in the. For example, in the previous sentence, if you see, she has been, when you have used this present perfect progressive, that means like you are using prepositions, but still it conveys that the action has started in the past, but still continuing in the present. But something that is, she worked here for 20 years. She doesn't work here now. So it's not going to happen now. That is the sense of it. Simple past is very simple. Like preposition, using preposition in the context of simple past is very easy and good. Right. For, but then some exceptions are this. When do you omit for, and when do you not omit for? For. For is not omitted when it indicates that an action began in the past and terminated, something which is terminated, that means something which has already been done, or extends into the present now, or something that has been terminated or extends into the present now. So that is when, for example, you cannot omit for when something that's already been started some days ago or some time ago. For example, she lived here for 20 years. So that means, like, for example, like, you cannot say that she has been living or like that. Okay, so for it is not omitted when you say that it began in the past and terminated and extends into the present time also. So you can say she's lived here for 20 years. Now, not it has been raining. It's been, for example, you can't say it's been, she has been doing that. Okay, for is also not omitted when the duration is vague. When it is vague, you cannot use it. So when you use hours, days, weeks, months, years, centuries, forever, for ages, for weeks, months, years, and all that, right? You can do that. Now, see, she's been living in Wilgam since 1980. So, continuing to be, like, she's been doing it. Another example, she has been waiting here for 1 hour. Not she's waiting. You cannot say she's waiting here 1 hour. No, she has been waiting here for one. You can use preposition in this context. Not she has been, not she is waiting. She has been, because started in the past and continuously happening in the present time. Next, for or since is not used with a simple present or progressive tense. For or since is not used with a simple present or progressive tense. That means you cannot say she is waiting for many days. She's absent for a week. We don't say she's been. We use present perfect progressive. So, but you do not use it when you are using progressive, or it is raining since, you don't say. Either you don't use this one or that. Like so, both since and for should not be used with simple present or progressive tense. We have to be very careful when you are using these two prepositions. So many times, I hear students saying that, "Ma'am, she was absent for many weeks." Okay, or else, like, she is doing it since so and so. So when I say, so I always see them speaking such sentence. So she's been, or like, for example, like, she's been absent, okay, for some days. But you cannot use simple present and progressive tense as you like. Next. Now, we will now look at another preposition, from. If we look at another preposition, from, starting point. Starting point from is given. Okay, that means somewhere it's been started. Starting point, that means like from this place to that point. So now where you can use this preposition from? So in what context? So in how many ways you can use this from? Just like you saw, using at a in different ways. I teach the same thing now. Like, how many times or how many ways you can use from are as follows. Like, one sense is starting point. So when you are referring to any place, that we are referring to starting point. Place is mentioned. From Delhi, I will be flying to particular place. From Mumbai to Hyderabad. Okay, so the procession is from the boat club to that particular place. The procession is from the boat club to India Gate. So from this point to that point. So that is a sense. Next, she's only from that starting point in time. she's, so for example, like she so and so from that time. She's on leave from 15th January. She lived in Shillong from 1980 to so and so. So these are the two situations where you can do it. She's on leave from so and so. She lived in Shillong from so and so period. Next, origin or source. Origin or source. That means even the third way where you in the third the third context where you can use this from is when you are referring to any kind of origin or source. That means this is from this place. These cakes are baked from so and so place, or this has been prepared from, or it's like for example, this is produced from so and so Manchester or place. So anything where it is originated, or anything it is like established, or origin or source, that is called this. That is where you can use from. This gentleman is from Vienna. See, the origin or the source. This gentleman is from Vienna. This is a letter from my friend. So this is a letter from my friend. This is a quotation from Hamlet. This is a quotation from where? Which book? Like which drama? Hamlet. Okay. So this is a letter from my friend. So origin. So where it came from. Or what is the source? We are referring to source of something. So when we are saying this is from Hamlet, we are quoting its source. And this is a letter from my friend, the origin of place. So when you're referring to this context, you can definitely make use of this preposition from. Next another where you can use this from, when you are using or referring to any context, that is like separation or removal. Separation or removal. We draw water from a nearby tank. We draw water from a nearby tank. So, like from where you remove water, from where you draw water. So, in that context, you can use this from. Next, leaves are falling from this tree. Leaves are falling from particular tree. So that is a sense of it. So that is like a removal of some place or something. That in that context, you can use this preposition from. Next, also you can use this preposition from when you are referring to the distance. When you are referring to the distance, you can use this preposition from. So when it is between two places, okay. So it is more than 2 kilometers from here to the top of the hill. It is more than 2 kilometers. So distance from here to the top of the hill. So that is a place, right? Next, the bus stop is just a kilometer from my house. The bus stop is just a kilometer from my house. So it's all about that, like when you are referring to distance, okay, you can use this sense. The bus stop is just a kilometer from my house. Next, then the third context where you can use this preposition from is when you are referring to any kind of limit, number, lower limit, okay, regarding price or weight. Okay, she has to type from 20 to 25 liters a day. See, has to type from when you refer to a kind of a range. Okay, when you refer to any kind of range, you can use this 20 to 25 liter a day. So this is also another context where you can use this preposition from. Next, apples are away from 32. Sorry, apples are available from 30 to 60 rupees a dozen. So when you are referring to any kind of price we said, right? Number, price, weight. So here, apples are available from 30 rupees to so and so. So when you are referring to price or range, you can definitely use this preposition from. Next, he is suffering from, when you are referring to any cause, or when you are talking about any cause, when you are using in the context of any cause, you can use this preposition from. He is suffering from fever. You don't say he's suffering with. So that preposition is grammatically wrong, because I've seen many students or many users of language, English language, users of English or of this English language, they will use she's suffering with. Or, so generally it is wrong. We say that she suffers from that particular problem. She is suffering from that particular problem, right? Next, the shootout victim died from his injuries. The shootout victim died from his injuries. So you are talking about the cause, and the cause is like he died because of his injuries or some wounds that deeply wounded thing happened, and so that's why he died of that. So when you are referring to that, you can use this one as a good preposition. So the shootout victim died from his injuries. So now you have used this preposition from in many contexts. Next, what is another way, or where or which context you can use this preposition from? Right. Protection or prevention. Protection or prevention. He saved the child from kidnappers. He saved the child from kidnappers. So when you are protected from someone, this is when you will use this preposition from. He saved the child from kidnappers. Or another example, this new mask reduces risk from air pollution. This new mask reduces risk from air pollution. So when you are talking about any prevention or protection, you can use this. He saved a child from kidnappers. So from where? She got protected. So from this. And also in the other context, this new mask reduces risk from where? From what? From what? Prevention. When the sense is prevention or protection, you can use the preposition from. Next, another context where you can use this preposition from is like when you are talking about point of view. When you refer or when you talk about anybody's point of view, you can use this preposition from. From a financial point of view, your project is not viable. Okay, it's not anymore lively. So that's a sense. So from somebody's perspective, from my point of view or from his point of view. So in that context, you can use this preposition from. From a financial point of view, your project is not viable. Next. Now, another context. So 10th context is where you can use preposition when you are referring to considering or judging. Considering or judging. When you consider something or when you judge someone or somebody, you can use this preposition from. For example, you can say, from his appearance, he seems to be innocent. So you are, kind of like judging that person. From his appearance, he seems to be very innocent. From it seems to be a nice place. From what they see, it seems to be a nice place. Also, you can use this preposition when you are referring to material. For example, soap is made from coconut oil. So when you are referring to the production of something, materials, so it is from sunflower oil. It is from coconut oil. Most Ayurvedic medicines are made from herbs. So most Ayurvedic medicines are made from herbs. So now we have seen various contexts where you can use these prepositions from, right? So let me once again refresh your mind, or once again reiterate this context or ways, different ways where you can use this preposition. And one context, the first context we have seen is when you are talking about the starting place, from this place to that place, you can use this preposition from. The second one is starting point in time, that is when this so and so started his or her project from that particular place. She's on leave from. She lived in Shillong from. Alright? So that is the second context. So point in time. Next, when you are talking about the origin or source. So origin or source. This gentleman is from this place. This is a letter from my friend. So that is where when you are referring to origin or source, you can definitely use this preposition, origin or source. Next, fourth context is this is we are talking about a separation or removal, right? So when you are talking about the separation or removal, you can use this preposition from. That is, from this place we've drawn that. From this tree we've drawn the fruits. Like that you can do it. So that's the fourth context you can use. Next, fifth context is when you are referring to distance. Distance. It is more than 2 kilometers from here to the top of the hill. So it is when you refer to any distance, or you can talk about the distance, that's where you can use this preposition from. Next, the bus stop. The another context where you can do is when you are referring to number, price, or weight. So that is the sixth context. That means any particular number, or like it is given here, apples are available from 30 to 60 rupees. So right. So when you are referring to that, you can use it. When you can use this preposition for sure. Next, the seventh context is when you are referring or when you are talking about any cause. Okay, any cause. He is suffering from that. The shootout victim died from. Okay, that is a cause. Next, eighth reason or context where you can do it. Protection, prevention. So when you are referring to any concept, you can use this protection. I was protected from them, or like it will reduce high danger of risk from that particular disease. When you are talking about protection or prevention, you can use this kind of preposition from. And another context where you can use, ninth context where you can use this from is from a financial point, from somebody's point of view, from somebody's point of view, or from your point, or from my point, or personal point of view, you can use this preposition from. Next, when you're considering or judging, when you're considering or judging someone, you can use this preposition from. From his appearance, he seems to be what? Innocent. From his appearance, he seems to be innocent. From what this, it is like that, okay? And also when you're referring to materials, so you can say this is made from so and so. Next, preposition. So these are the 10 ways you can use the preposition from. Now, let's move on to another very integral or very important, significant preposition, though it is a 2-letter word. Okay, so it's small, simple preposition, but it is present everywhere. You go to any corner, you talk about anything, either you should use in, or to, or for, or at, or an. See, you use all these conjunctions, and between also are used everywhere, and also these prepositions in, at, for, to. Anywhere you go, you can use these prepositions. Right. Place. So when do you use this? Place. When you are referring to any place or anything related to with regard to place, you can use this preposition in. within enclosures or boundaries, within an area or within enclosures or boundaries. They're working in that particular field. He lives in Agra. They're working in that particular field. He lives in Agra. Right? So you can use this preposition in different when you are referring to any place within an area, within enclosures or boundaries. Next, second context. In is also used pertaining to the first point I've said before we go to the second point. It is always used to in is always used with a large town always. Okay, surrounded. Okay, you are not going to say that something which is very closed place. It's always to do with a larger area boundary, state, province, country, continent, world, or universe. You don't say she lives at Delhi or she lives at Hyderabad. So very kind of like very closed point place or within a very less distance or within a shorter distance period or time or place you can use at. But when you are referring to in a larger space, like you say in, for example, you say she's waiting at the shopping mall in a very in Kukatpalli or in Ahmedabad, in Jayas, in Vijayawada, in Scotland, for example, is something which is very broader, larger. You can use in, but very certain point of place you have to use at. Do not get mistake for in and for at. Okay, do not get mistake using this one for at. So in should be used in larger space and at should be used in a small, congested or very short distance where you are referring to a short distance. So that means like she's at home. Okay, at home in Hyderabad. She's waiting at the hospital or that particular hospital in Hyderabad. So larger space always use in. That is what the point I'm trying to say. Next, second context where you can use this in is when you're indicating volume or capacity of a container. In the cage, for example, in the cage we saw a lion. So indicating something capacity or container or something where it indicates volume or space or some containers, you can use it is in the cage. The bird is in the cage. We saw a lion in the cage, right? And then you are indicating capacity of a container or indicating volume. You can say there is milk in the bottle. There is milk in this bottle. So any container, there's some water in the bottle. You don't say there is some water on the bottle, right? So that is the sense. Next, third context where you can use this in is profession or occupation. Profession or occupation. That means he is in the army or air force. When you are referring to any profession, you can use this preposition in. He's in the army, she's in business or politics. So when you're referring to any kind of profession, you can use this in. And another fourth context where you can use this preposition in is state or condition. State or condition. She is, for example, where is she right now? What is her state? What is her state right now? You can say she's in that particular place, like she's in the canteen. He's in trouble. So what is a state? What is a condition? Place or state. Okay. His state or condition. He's in the canter. He's in trouble. Next. Everything was in a mess when the new vice chancellor took over. Right? The condition of something we are referring to here. So that is why we used in. Next. He is in good health or poor health. He is in good condition of someone, state of somebody's health. So you have to use this preposition in. Next preposition, into. Before we go ahead, into, we looked at in, right? There are similarly 4 contexts where you can use this in. Let me reiterate the context. One context is where you are talking about place, right? And in the second context, where you are talking about container or indicating volume. third context also, like, and in the third context, you are talking about profession or occupation, right? You can use this in. Fourth context is state or condition. State or condition. She is in the candle. He is in trouble, right? So that's where. Next, everything was in a mess. So these are the examples. Next, preposition into. So when do you use? You use into when you are referring to any kind of place, but with movement. Entrance or movement to a place inside from outside. Inside from outside. Entrance or movement. Right? She came into my room without permission. She came movement, okay, from outside to inside or from inside. She came into my room without permission. You do not use into when it is nothing to do with movement. Remember that. Right. Next sense where you can use this preposition into is like when there is change in form or in shape. Translate, for example. Translate this into English. Okay, a caterpillar changes into a butterfly. Translate this into English. A caterpillar changes into a butterfly. So change anything in form or in shape. You can say it as, you can use this preposition into. That is the second context. Third context. In and into now. Let me bring both. In indicates a static position. Static position. He is in room. Okay, no, unmovable, not movable. He's in his room. You don't say he's into his room. No, there is nothing to do with movement. So avoid into. Next, into indicates motion or movement within the area. That's what we said. He came into my room. Okay. Next, in indicates a state or a condition. He's in a good mood. He's not into a good mood. Right. Next, fourth, into indicates a change in state condition. Like he flew into a rage. Like that change, anything that change is possible, then you can use this into. Next preposition is of. So we've looked at in, into, and now we're looking at the preposition of. Now, what is first context where you can use of? You can use this preposition of when you are talking about the relationship. Ownership, right? Relationship, ownership. He's a cousin of mine. She's a cousin of mine. She's a friend of Rani's. So when you're talking or indicating relationship or ownership, you can use this of. Next, possession of a quality. When you possess any quality, you can use this of. He's a man of letters. So that means like he is a well-educated, knowledgeable, academic, intelligent person. He's a man of letters, very wise person. He's a man of his word. That means he stands on his word. If he tells something, he does it. So he possesses any quality. You can use this preposition of. Like Minnie is a teacher of the school, right? That means she belongs to that. Next, another context where you can use this is origin of source. So any context where you're talking about origin of source, you can say the plays of Rabindranath Tagore are as great as his poems. The place of source or origin of what? Rabindranath Tagore. Next, the people of this country are wise. The people of this country are wise. So that is what you can understand, right? When you talk about the source or origin, you can use this preposition of. Next, you can also use preposition when you're talking about cause, about any cause. Like you can say, they died of malaria, they died of cholera, right? And also you can say, she's proud of her noble birth. So any cause, she's proud of her noble birth. Next, when you talk about concerning, so anything, like so when you talk about this concerning anything, the results of the examination have not been announced yet. The results of the examination have not been announced yet. So you are talking about anything that is concerned about the results of some that is concerned, result of the examination have not been So it is concerned with the result of the examination. Next, also, John is a teacher of English, concerned person, concerned faculty. He's a teacher of English. Also, you can use this of when you're referring to measurements. She bought 5 kilos pound or 5 pounds of fish. Measurement in terms of this much. Another context where you can use this preposition is the distance. There is a swimming pool within 2 kilometers of my house. So when you are referring to distance, you can use this preposition of. This town is to the south of Patna. This town is to the south of Patna. Next, 10th preposition. Their first child was born within a year of their marriage. Right? So this is with regard to time. You can use this preposition of within the year of their marriage. Next, I made many resolutions on the 1st of January. Time, again, time related. When you are referring to age also, you can say he is a boy of 20 years. He's a boy of 20 years. Materials, when you refer to materials, so you can use this is a house of stone. This window is made of glass, but with not of is used to indicate an ingredient. Okay, so see, like we make sweets with sugar. Right, so that is you will not with not of is used. So you don't say because we said material, you can't say we make sweets of sugar. No, we make sweets with sugar. Also, next, another context, collection of people or things. There's a bunch of, here is a bunch of keys that will unlock any door. Bunch of something. This is a team of international players. Next, another context. When it is part of something, the key of this lock is missing. Next, another context where you can use part of whole, like he's a member of this club. He is a member of this college. Next, another important preposition is OFF, of. Separation, that is away from something. She fell off the car, off the house. She keep off the grass, separation. You can use it. Next, that's the not OF but OFF. And another context where you can use of, OFF is like distance from something. My house is off the main road. You can use in that sense. He's off duty now. He's not in duty now. It is off season now, not in action, not in time. That is the thing. Off is opposite of on. Please switch off the light, switch off the fan. Opposite of on. Now, finally, I have a few prepositions where you can see correct and wrong. You incorrect prepositions are always used by students. You say, I cannot agree to you in this situation. It's wrong. You have to say, I cannot agree with you. Okay? He agreed with my demands. Now, he agreed to my demands. Who is in the phone is incorrect. Who is on the phone is correct. Right? So, please wait inside the white line. No, please wait behind is a right way of doing it. Next, I've been waiting here from 3 hours is wrong. I've been waiting here for 3 hours. So he reached at the airport at 3 a.m. He reached the airport at 3 p.m. So these are a few. You can have a look at it. Like I made the board members at the office. This is the tallest building of the world. No, this is the tallest building in the world, we have to say. I often go to school. In bus is wrong. By bus. They go to the bus station by foot is wrong. On foot is right. So sun rises from the east. No, sun rises in the east. So these are a few. You can have a look at it, please. And then this is how you have to use prepositions. And I hope definitely you will have a very good time in future by using prepositions appropriately. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.